Yeah. First and foremost, want to give all praise, glory, and honor to the Most High God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his son Hamashiach, or Mashiach, who some call Yahushua, Yehoshua, Yahushua, Yasha Yah. We mostly know as Jesus Christ. All right. You got to deal with the folly in the church, man, and man. Yeah. A lot of you apologists, y'all really just need to shift your focus, man. How bad you gonna let it get out here? And it's already horrific out here. But let me just go and let this thing play, man. Just that Cheeto dust is spreading, and it will be the new black church. All right, it will be the new black church, and most of the prominent leaders within the church, there's maybe one or two elders that I see that are strong black men that I see in the church. Even Tony Evans, he had some sexual immorality where he had to step down. Let me just let it play, y'all.
It's y'all. This is it right here, y'all.
And you don't have the kids around this because it's a little graphic. It's rated. It's PG. Okay, PG going into R. All right.
I'm gonna rewind that one more again for the Saints, Anks, and friends in the bike. Brian.
And that's a pastor. Pastor Brian Corn. And I guess that's his girlfriend or significant other, whatever the case may be. But even if that's the case, he a pastor. Why would you film that and why would you put that online? You think that's appropriate? Even if this was that kind of situation, but it's not. All right. And you could tell the way the brother leaned his head. It's a little flame. It's a little flame and Cheeto out here, man. This is me speculating. All right, don't take me serious. It's me speculating.
Either we doing this for some attention or something, because I am all the way just wondering why. But it gets even deeper and better because she made a post. Let me take this down. All right. Her name is Vashti Anise. I feel so heartbroken and I'm so angry choosing to let go the person I love the most.
Just putting that online. And that I'm going to deal with everything, y'all. And y'all, that he is a very influential pastor. He always going viral, whether it's chumping off the piano player or chumping off a lady who wouldn't fall out. I mean, one day he was like, well, don't get up here if you ain't gonna fall out. You ain't gonna pay. If you gonna lock your knees up, don't come up here. But I'm telling you too, man, these black women love homosexual men. And that's why they putting them in the church. It's gonna be hard for your church to be successful. It's gonna be hard for your church to grow without a little Cheeto dust on that pastor.
Why does it feel like a real death after 10 years of what I thought was a committed a committed relationship?
See, he know.
I finally have the courage to admit the lies and false hope I've accepted for too long. A man declaring you're his wife. Baby, what? He's committed to you, and he's in love with you. Should have come with cheating and a double life. Didn't I tell you? And a double lifestyle. And as a believer,
they all know. And they're confident. They confident around the rest of y'all pastors. They confident around your pastor. Why? Because he probably sleeping with him. Or he knows that he done slept with so-and-so. And da-da-da-da-da. They know. They know each other.
In God, it was foolish not to accept sooner that it doesn't take 10 years in God to do what's right. I've allowed things to happen completely opposite to the beliefs of the faith and even my own standards, trying to be everything he wants because I loved him. And with my life to the point I've become a foolish woman, thinking if I only pray, if I not only pray, but have sex and be and give everything he needs, then it'll prevent him from falling. Girl, what?
Yeah. Listen, man. You're a righteous woman, and you see your significant other sleeping with men, living this double life that the sister says. You're not. It's gonna be hard to convince me in counsel. It's gonna be hard to convince me, and I could be wrong. Now, I'm just telling you. I could be wrong. You know, it's gonna be hard to convince me that you're just there for love, especially if he's an influential person and rich or well off, that you're just there for love, that you're not there. And even being his the woman on his arm or whatever, it comes with a certain stature within that community, within the church community. It's a stature. It's that that women live off of that stuff, man. I'm with the pastor and I'm with deacon so and so, and he has this kind of rank and this stuff. It bleeds out in the camps. When brothers have certain ranks, and well, he's a rank of this, and he can tell him, I'm gonna tell him to call your husband and tell him to do this. But it's just a hard sell for me to think, oh, I was trying to do these wicked things just to think that, his appetite would just go away. No. His appetite's going to get, worse. His appetite he's going to get hungrier and hungrier. The more you feed sin, the more hungrier you get, man. You can't get enough. All bread is sweet to a whoremonger. All of it.
Foolish woman. I believe some urges were only a temporary phase that will soon end. I told y'all.
No. You don't just jump into that lifestyle. It's just like smoking crack. You don't just jump into smoke. Yeah, that ain't the first thing you smoke. First thing you smoke ain't usually crack. Just don't jump into crack. You might smoke a little weed. You can go into some cigarettes, some Black & Milds. You might lace the weed with a little coke. You may take a little shot of some heroin. You may do some meth. You may get into some crack. But you just don't jump straight to crack. You just jump straight to, this man on man situation. You was watching porns, and then the porns got sicker and sicker and more. Anyway, I don't know what to think about it.
I told y'all, urges were only a temporary phase that will soon end, and he'll get it out of his system and be different if I scratch that. Say what?
She was scratching the itch. Yeah, you made him.
Okay.
You created him.
Different if I scratch that itch. Some will say real love doesn't expose and it covers a multitude of sin. Y'all have no idea. And
she said love covers a multitude of sin. I was covering the sin because I loved him. Is that how she's using that? I'm telling you, me can make this text say anything.
A member of KCC, I was so brainwashed to stay in place and shut up on things, even when the truth smacks me in the face, to the point I didn't even stand in the true things of God anymore, even till my own detriment, and I've been grieved for a long time. Or you should have been grieved way before now. So saying no to a ring and choosing
you can tell by he know, man. All these jokers know. They probably had little freak offs, little church freak offs, man.
to walk away from a life and promise I prayed and fasted for that I thought I'd have with this man. I vowed my wound to is the hardest thing I've ever done. I bled for this relationship. Girl, you are dumb.
What was my thought? Thank you, Nancy. He said, pick up from your thought.
Now, this brother here, Larry Reed, it's almost like the diddler, man. He almost like the Diddy of the black church community. All right, used to be into music, maybe still trying to get into, I don't know. But anything that's dealing with this kind of activities, or any kind of sexual immorality, whether it's one of these pastors cheating on his wife or whatever, he got his hands in it. And sources say that he's in that the TD Jakes situation, that he's named as one of these one of these people in the file. I don't know, you know, I'd be talking about that, but he's named in that court case. So, you know, he's high level. Like, this brother probably making Creflo kind of money, you know, from the house, from his living room.
What was my thought? Okay, I think preachers should preach and teach a gospel, and the pew should embrace a gospel that we all can live. Because the way that we are interpreting these scriptures,
dumb it down. It's too strict. I think the pastor should teach something that we all can just do what we want to do. And we all can say, it don't matter. It don't matter what that pastor say. He can teach whatever he want to teach, but if it's opposed to that word, you ain't getting in. You like what's the end? Now, if all you want to do is go to church and do church, but if you're trying to make it into the kingdom, you got to do what the book say. Not what your pastor say, not what your pastor teaching, what the book say. And what he should be teaching is what the book say.
and have been interpreting them for many years. And then what we see show up in our church, these things don't go together.
And I'm saying he's speaking on the Brian Corn situation that we just seen the other video on. He's speaking on it also. All right. This is kind of went viral within that community.
So it's time for us to look at certain mistranslations of the Bible, like the word fornication, like the word homosexual. We need to all understand that these were misinterpretations and mistranslations of old texts. And now we have these things that we preach and teach in our culture that's not actually biblical. We need to do this. We need to get very clear on this. We need to get very clear that the Bible does not rebuke as a sin premarital sex.
Man,
that is not in the Bible.
And this is what a lot of my Israelite brothers be saying is like, man, y'all got so much work to do. And it ain't gonna be the Israelites that's gonna get your church. It's gonna be them. It's gonna be them that got your church. But Kanye say it ain't me that's gonna get your broad. This Instagram got your broad. Yeah, this who got your church. You know, we did that documentary, man. We showed these folks coming up out of Morehouse, man, and how they were already being taught. These new generation of pastors was already being taught to teach a genderless doctrine. And this thing is, like I said, this thing is gonna, you know, y'all keep playing with it, man. I can keep giving you warning. Shout out to Alton Johnson too, man. I seen, you know, initially he was battling me. And we were going back and forth. And he was trying to say, well, no, the church is strong. The black church still feels strong black men and da-da-da-da-da, woo-doo-woo. Then like a year later, maybe not even a year, maybe about 6 months later, I see Alton Johnson then got put into this magazine on his stance that he had about this particular black pastor wearing something inappropriate or something that was effeminate, and they end up putting his video and some of the quotes from the video in this magazine he was pretty pumped up about. But and salute to him, you know. But yeah, man, you were trying to fight me on this thing, man. You were trying to fight Israelites on this thing, but I'm glad to see you address the problem, and I would like you to continue in that, because that church is through, man. That church is through, especially the black church. I don't know much about the white church, and white homosexuals are a little different. They're quiet. They don't make a lot of noise. But black homosexuals, they flamboyant, they're flashy, and they love to be in the forefront.
No, Larry, this says, you see that word fornication? Do you know where that word fornication comes from? It comes from porneia. And it actually goes further than that. It comes from a word that literally means prostitute. So please tell me how premarital sex became the definition for a word that don't mean that.
And like I say, man, and you got to watch people when they do this. When they want to take a word, go into the etymology and try to, oh, well, it meant this back then and it meant this, right? But when they were translating it, this is what it meant. You can't tell them what they meant by their translation. They meant whatever Gentile meant to them, or whatever fornication meant to them. That's what they used. Yeah, the word might have meant, you know, fornication might have meant a dog walking backwards. It could have meant that, you know, 500 years ago, or 500 years before they translated it. But at that time, it meant sexual immorality. And what is sexual immorality according to the Bible? What are these things? What are the list of these things? Like you going down a pathway where you can justify anything. Justify raping. You can justify doing unaliving somebody. You could just, you know. And the text tells you that, you know, especially in Deuteronomy 22, it gives you these statutes on if these kind of things happen and what are you to do. You know, so there's, you know, and not just that, but also with the homosexuality, we got clear verses like Leviticus 18, 20, 22. It's clear verses. It's clear verses about bestiality. And that would fall too under sexual immorality. That could fall under fornication. No, if you sleep with a woman, you have to marry her. Ain't no just sleeping with no woman. Or that husband, depending on the situation, that husband can unalive you. Or don't take the diary. Or, you know, it's... But, man, we want this text to say, and I don't know why we even deal with it. If you wanted to say what you wanted to say, and if it, like, why even deal with it? You know, it don't say that. But like I say, these folks are great. These are like I said, I heard them say, "Oh, sorcerers." They sorcerers. They're witches.
I mean, either you are studied and know, or you don't. This isn't a matter of my opinion. This is just the truth. Because that's in the Greek, but then it comes.
And don't get tripped up on that. It's easy to say, man, this is the truth. I'm in the truth. Man, come on, God. Getting puffed up about the wrong stuff, man.
From Latin, it comes from fornix, which means a brothel. Ladies and gentlemen, fornication. The way.
And then back then, that's what they did. They went to brothels. They went to temples. To do that, illicit sex. To do that sex without marriage. People weren't just humping around like that. I would like to think. I can speculate. But every time we see it in the text, we seeing people, like with the situation with Judah. Excuse me, Judah and Tamar. He went there for some. He went there. She dressed up like a prostitute, and he did what he did. Also, there's I don't want to get into that stuff, but just look at that stuff. Them prostitutes that were in the temples, a lot of that was connected to worship. That's another reason why we was getting into these other deities and so forth, is because it was pleasurable. I want to say it's Ephesians or Ephesus was one of those cities that it was like the Las Vegas of that time, where they had every pagan worship in that city, and people would travel. They would travel the four corners to come to Ephesus for some of their celebrations, so they can get involved in these orgies and all of this foolishness inside of these temples. I want to say it's Ephesus. Y'all check me on that though.
Preached is just error. Prophet Levy tried to tell y'all that. I done the video on it. Y'all called us both witches and warlocks.
Yeah, they know. And Prophet Levy, man, Lovey. And shouts out to Salute the War Sheep podcast. He was doing some good work on Lovey. But man, a lot of people are just drunk. They drunk. He got the accent and he sound like he know what he's talking about. He sound like he mild tempered. You never see him yelling, and but man, it almost looked like the same female from Brian Corn and that one Lovey had. And all of they doing is they get into these situations. And I see him even explain this about pastors marrying women off for contract marriages. All right, they're just doing the marriage for the public image. All right, this is a real thing inside of these churches. And again, who checking these folks? Who checking them? The church gonna have to say something. But just like I feel Israelites have to correct Israelites, I feel like the church has to, they're not gonna hear it from us. The church has to stand up and say something. It was a woman, man. What church was that? It was a sister that was in Ebenezer, Martin Luther King's church, or father's church. I think Pastor Raph Warnock is the pastor there, and he had some suspect stuff going on. And it was an elderly woman. It was an elderly woman that they kicked her out of the church because she got up in the church and kept asking them, what's your sexuality, man? Are you a homosexual? They kicked her out the church, and she went out there protesting and stuff. Look that up. I'm not lying.
Y'all just ain't been to school. It's just simple as that. I have all these degrees. I know what the hell I'm talking about. And these interpretations were deliberate to control people's actions. So listen to this.
They were deliberate from the Lord to control your actions. Sodom and Gomorrah. Well, they ain't kill them for that. Man, y'all gotta stop, man. Y'all gotta stop.
Sherelle, look at this here. Now, I need to make sure that you are agreeing with me, but if she ain't in agreement with me, I want to say to you, Sherelle, well, let me not do that. I'm gonna wait till I see another comment. Cause once I drag you, I kill you, and I don't want to kill you when you don't deserve to be dead. Yeah. So fornication, and I want you to start measuring your pastors. When you hear a pastor preach that fornication is premarital sex, you need to know your pastor ain't been to school and allergic to books. The moment you hear your pastor, listen to this. When you hear your pastor say that the Bible rebukes homosexuality, particularly Corinthians 6, where they put the word homosexual in there, you need to know that your pastor ain't learned. Culturally, we hate and don't like gay. But biblically, that's a misinterpretation. So fornication.
And you notice he said particularly 1 Corinthians 6. He know the text. I say he know how to be deceptive. He know Matthew 18:22 in there. Man should not lay with a man as he would a woman, and vice versa, and it's an abomination unto you. That blood should be on you.
And the word homosexual in your Bible are misinterpretations, mistranslations. Throw the interpretation to the side. We're talking about a mistranslation. That means from one dialect to the next, somebody used the word that didn't mean what it originally said. Paul at first said soft in the letter. Then it went.
That's enough. Soft. The Lord hates soft men. It's enough.
To men that are exploiting other men. Then it went to effeminate. And then it went to homosexual.
Yeah, that sounds about right. If 10 more years from now they make another translation, they're going to call it sassy. Yeah. Yeah, in the Brother Phoenix translation, the Lord hates sassy men. Oh man. Man, and we be thinking we be saying something so heavy, man. And I gotta get to that F notes too, man. I probably do it either, if not Shabbat, probably Sunday.
Y'all, this is not a matter of what Larry thinks. This is the truth.
All that meant the same about me, to me. Yeah.
If you're studied and you read, this is the truth. Somebody says, so homosexuality is not a sin? Not a biblical sin, is not.
Not a biblical sin. How can he? And he know better. But he's a demon. And y'all really should be running. Y'all should be running down on Larry Reed. Y'all should be running down on Pastor Korn. Should be running down on him. Like, Israelites ain't teaching nothing this crazy and telling the masses something this crazy. But what my brother Pastor Elder Pastor Mike, y'all getting too liberal. It's that liberal church. Yeah. Y'all gonna fly that flag.
It's a sin to us and our culture and what we preach and what we teach. But biblically, nope. It's not. It was put in there.
That man held a whole gospel award show. Everybody turned out. And it started with that, man, what was that pastor's name, man? He passed away either last year, 2 years ago. But he was I can't think of his name, man. He everybody knows this pastor though. That's within that church community. And he went and he wanted to start teaching the LGBT and that hell don't exist, and that everybody's going to heaven, and but he ended up getting sick and passed. Everybody who went to his funeral is in that they in this club. Every single person that went to this funeral, they are in this club. But I can't think of the brother's name. He used to preach back in the day. He used to be a high profile preacher back in the day, and then he got into the Kojic, I want to say, or not the Kojic, but they were trying to be bishops and cardinals and all of this stuff. And they ended up kicking him up out of there because of his stance on, he's being too liberal on his stance on homosexuals and heaven and hell and all of that. Everybody in there. And that's the pastor there with the darn heels on and the darn in a hat. A woman's hat. His church is gonna grow. His church is gonna grow. It's gonna be filled with black women. And Cheeto, and the man with a little Cheeto dust on him. This is him also. Where they even buy that at? Why are they even selling that? And they love being cardinals and dressing like Catholic. Well, we know the connection. In the blood of the Lamb, there is power, wonder-working power in the blood. Can you sit under a homosexual pastor? Now, before you answer. Can you sit under an adulterous pastor? Under a pastor that committed adultery? Can you sit under a pastor who's committed fornication? Can you sit under a pastor who's misappropriated funds within the ministry? Well, like what was that pastor we were talking about? Pastor Tony Evans. He said, "Well, I did this. I ain't gonna say what I did, but I got to step down, and I can respect that. You shouldn't even have the choice, because as you see, a lot of people will stay. It should be some governing body that said, man, you got to sit down. Go get yourself together, man. Go repent." But when you doing this and you done got this comfortable with it, where you wearing heels to church, you're wearing whatever it is, the blouses, they done fed him. All of these people are feeding him. They done created him.
You got pretty legs, man.
Oh, man.
And they lanolated.
Man, listen,
I mean,
I'm back working out.
You put.
Listen, man. Ain't no man finna tell me I got pretty legs. And I'm gonna say, thank you, man. I've been working. No. I gotta check you on that. I know you may reverence the brother because he your pastor, or you just reverence him as a pastor. You're like, man, you still gotta check. You still gotta be, hey, pause, pastor. Now, chill. But you kind of entertain the conversation and feel like that was he checked the temperature with you. You check the temperature, man. He probably said something before the cameras came on.
Shea butter, jergens.
Oh, you see that?
They
just,
glowing in the dark.
I'm just
Y'all
nourished.
zoom in. Do not skip leg day.
Don't do that.
Do not.
Don't do that. Sometimes you got to remind people, like, it's okay, but the work has to be done.
Oh, listen, it's evident. It pays
you
off.
know what I'm saying? I'm back eating right, trying to live right.
Yes.
I done purged my tongue since last speaking with you.
Yeah.
So I don't curse no more. I try not to curse no more. I had a
Wow.
flare up the other day, but
Yes.
who's keeping count?
I'm not.
I'm not. Boy. Hey, look at that joker. Thirst is getting hungry. I'm not. Look how you looking at him. Man, please. And you gotta want to be there. And you gonna say, well, I mean, he got all these kids and stuff though. Yeah. Yeah, he do. Man, and could that be to throw us off? Is that like, man, what's going on? What's going on, man? You too big, man. You say you're like 6'7", 6'5", 6'7". You let this man tell you your legs look pretty. You got some pretty legs.
Other than that, man, life's good.
You got pretty legs, man.
Anyway, y'all pray this thing was edifying. Y'all be blessed. We'll see y'all on the next one. Shalom.